Hello, you, and welcome to takTalks. This is takTalks number 19. Thank you for joining me. This is a place where I, Takaya Honda, get to chat to actors about their lives, about acting, about the work they've done, and any interesting and fun stories along the way. And maybe I'll tell a story, I don't know. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. And you also get to join us live in the chat and ask the questions you want answered as well, which I endeavour to get to. And if I don't, I try to do it in the first round of questions at the end. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring on today's guest, who is a legend, who I've known for the last nearly 4 years, doing Neighbours with her. She was playing Elly Conway, and she's a beautiful, lovely lady, and I love talking to her, even when we're not chatting on YouTube. But please welcome Jodi Gordon!
Oh,
Yay!
what a beautiful introduction.
Oh, thank you. I made it up on the spot. So it's all true. That's what that means. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm good. I'm at home in Sydney. I'm flying back to Melbourne on Sunday to start Neighbours again. I'll be back for 2 weeks, which is so exciting. I get to go back and see the whole gang again, which will be so much fun. And there's a lot going on at work at the moment. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, I'm really, really excited.
Yeah, and it would have been really awful if the end of your run on the show would be how it ended last term, because it was such a mess.
I know. The thing is, I remember I think it was only like a Wednesday or a Thursday, and I left the building, and I was meant to come back the next day, and then we got the call saying we needed to close down, and I drove back to Sydney. I didn't get to say bye to anyone, and I didn't know if I would have the opportunity to, or, I didn't know what was going to happen. So I'm really relieved that they've kind of rewritten the scenes, and yeah, I get to come back for another 2 weeks.
Yeah, well,
And give Elly the send-off she deserves.
yeah, we still won't be able to hug goodbye, but we'll definitely at least be able to say goodbye, because, yeah, it was like this weird... Yeah, it was, the whole time was weird, really. The whole time still is weird. But I'm glad that there's more of a feeling of an ending.
Yeah,
'Cause,
definitely. No, I'm really grateful for that, because it would have felt strange if we just with the scenes that I'd done. It's nice to come back and, finish it off properly.
Yeah.
And see everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird, because I was shooting today, and you see people and you go, oh, hello. You can't.
Yes. 1.5 meters, 2 meters. Yeah.
Because I like hugging people, but they are being very strict about it, which is good. And everyone's abiding by the guidelines and that kind of stuff, which is keeping us all safe, which is good. So what have you been doing in isolation back in Sydney?
In ISO, look, I've been doing a lot of cleaning. I've cleaned my wardrobe out about 3 times. Doing a lot of cooking, getting into cooking on a whole new level, and I mean, just planning little lunches and dinner parties, but with myself.
Like the virtual hangs and stuff.
Yeah. To learn to kind of relax, how extreme our job can be and the hours that we work. And to be honest, I hate what it's doing to the world, but at the same time, I'm just grateful to have this time where I can relax and, do all those things that we kind of miss out on doing because we're always in a rush or traveling, or you know what I mean. So it's actually been quite nice.
Yeah, it's absolutely a good time.
You
did what? Sorry.
I've been playing teacher to Alia.
Oh yeah, how's that going?
Oh my gosh, it's like...
Well, you've been playing teacher for a while on Neighbours, but how are you doing in real life?
Oh, it's very different to Elly's method of teaching. It's kind of learning this whole new system and taking me back to year one and what that was like, and how grateful I am that I now know how to read and write and trying to explain and teach. It's like, I don't know, it takes you straight back. It takes me back anyway. So that's been a lot of fun.
Were you teaching today?
Not today. No, not today. I just picked her up before, but I will probably do some work tomorrow. There's always different things. I mean, they've got a whole schedule to stick to, but it's a little bit all over the place at the moment. Um, but, there's lots of arts and crafts
That's
and
a fun bit.
little sports lessons outside, and, it's pretty
That's
funny.
awesome.
Everywhere you're just making do with you're doing the best you can,
Yeah. Do you make a call you miss during that time?
No, no. I did contemplate her wearing her school uniform and then me dressing up like the teacher just to make
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
fun. But yeah, no, we didn't get
I
there.
could totally imagine myself doing that. Like, yeah, like I'd get them like a proper
Into
school
it.
desk. So they'd just sit at a school desk and
And then when it's time, you put the tracksuit on. No, no,
step out of the modes.
no.
Well, they do say to do
Yeah,
that sort of stuff to
exactly.
like get your desk out of your bedroom and stuff, so that you've got a workspace and then your bedroom space or
Yeah,
whatever. But yeah,
definitely, definitely.
so I'm assuming that's been taking up pretty much all of your time, really, playing teacher.
Well, it's great because my ex-husband and I we share Alia, so she's had time with me, and then when she's not with me, it gives me time to do all the other things that I want to do. Like cleaning and doing arts and crafts, and going for walks and like just doing some stuff for me, and watching a lot of Netflix, connecting with others. Just doing whatever.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that time.
All right. Well, I
Yeah.
know where we don't have a heap amount of time, because you're busy being a mum. So let's get into it.
Tonight, taco, taco. Yeah.
So you started modeling at a young age. Was acting a thing for you then too?
If you and my family, I would say that they would say yes. I was always like this little actress growing up. Like I think I'm very much like Alia. She's a little in me. Um, but personally, like I'd never even thought about acting until I went for my audition on Home and Away, which was so that was really exciting and nerve-wracking and daunting. But I think that's definitely when things started to change. But I guess I always had that kind of performer or whatever you would call it in me.
Yeah, because you were modeling overseas and stuff, right? At that time.
Yeah, so I started modeling when I was 13. I remember I would do trips to Japan when I was 14 and 15, sometimes with my mum, sometimes on my own, and just going there for 14 days and doing 18 jobs, like back to back. It was jam-packed and amazing, so amazing to have that experience
What sort of jobs are
and
they when you say 14 back to back? What is that as a
so
non-modeling
some are
person?
like catalog jobs, doing shooting editorials for different magazines. They do a lot of kind of advertising jobs over there. But when I was over there, that was primarily a lot of editorial work, which was a lot of fun. I got to do some really kind of interesting things and just learning how to live in another country and
As a 14-year-old.
embracing. I know. And having to get up and catch the metro or the train places and things like that. Really scary when I look back at it. Like I would struggle to do that now. But it was, I don't know, it kind of makes you worldly, right? You
Were
learn.
you loving it
You grow up
through
pretty,
that period?
yeah, yeah, it was so much fun. I had a lot of time off school, to be honest. So I remember my teachers said I'd missed like half the school year. And they're like, you're doing great with your grades, but you really not here that much. So maybe, have a think about whether you want to go to year 12 or not. And that's when I moved over to Milan when I was 18. So it was fun. I don't know. It's just kind of, I don't know. I started in year 7 and then that's when I started modeling. And they kind of just went, school and work went hand in hand. That's just how it was done. And now when I think back to it, it's quite a strange. It's not. It's a little bit different to most.
Yeah, but you're not aware of your whether your growing up is weird or not, because it's the only one you know whilst you're in
Yeah.
it. It's only as you get older and you see how other people have grown up, you go, oh, Mine was different. Now,
Oh,
did
yeah.
you seek out like the modeling agent or whatever, or were you spotted somewhere, or your parents, or what was the go there?
Really funny. My mum entered me in this like radio competition, and it was like at some shopping center mall place. What happened? It also had something to do with the Dolly magazine. They used to have these like model search. So but I ended up winning this modeling competition and then signing up with that agency, and it started from there. And I don't know, I never thought about modeling or anything like I was never the pretty girl at school. It felt a bit weird that I'd started modeling, and then the work was coming in, and it was really exciting. But I just remember I could never eat McDonald's. I had to watch my weight. As a 13-year-old, and I remember I was like, teaching me how to look after my body and mind and all those things from a really young age. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah. All right, we'll get to Home and Away. What was the audition like?
It was daunting. Yeah, it was very daunting at the time. Um, I remember it was. I remember I went into Moliners in Sydney, and she took me in the back room and she pulled my hair out and she roughed me up and wiped my makeup off, and she's like, Martha was like this kind of country farm girl, and so then I walked into the room and I did the audition, and it was both exciting and nerve-wracking, and I thought it was terrible. But then I walked out. As soon as I finished that audition, I walked out and I burst into tears. And I remember walking up the hill. Like, I remember this moment like it was yesterday. And I just had this feeling like, oh, I really connected with that character. And I felt like I did a really great job. And it's weird when they cast for these roles, they cast they look for a lot of
Mm.
people. And I just felt I got the role. I felt because I loved the character. And the most bizarre thing, I think, one of the most bizarre like moments of my life when obviously I've got no idea how to act, and didn't think I did a great audition or anything like that, but I guess I felt like I embodied that tomboy farm girl character that they were looking for.
And so, had you done any acting before? Had you done like little school things or anything?
No, like when I was in year six, I got the, I don't know, one of the positions in one of the plays. And it's the only thing. I said about 5 lines. That was it.
That's so.
Home and away.
So,
I didn't even know how to remember lines.
how? What did you just look at them and just go and just read them and then say them out loud and just pure repetition and figured out that that's how you did it? How did you figure out what to do in a way? You know what I mean?
I didn't know what to do. It was terrifying. I so I remember I moved to Milan. I got back from Milan after being there for a year, and I was organizing my green card to go and live in
Mm.
Miami. And I was like 2 weeks out from moving to Miami, and my agency called me and said, "Do you want to go for a role on Home and Away?" And I went, "Are you kidding me?" Oh my God, I remember like I was in the car with my mum. I was so excited. I was like, wow, I get, the opportunity to audition for this. This is so exciting. And then I had to I remember all my girlfriends at the time, they were reading the lines, running lines with me. And just, it was hilarious. None of us are actors. None of us knew what we were doing. I think just through that process of um, trying to figure out who this character was and how she relates to me, and then how to remember these lines and try and not being shocking at it.
Well, you mustn't have been too shocking because you ended up getting the role. Um,
Well, and it's interesting as well, throwing myself in the deep end with that role every day. Like we were shooting 5 days a week, and whenever I would finish on set, I had an acting tutor that I'd spend at least 2 hours every day with after I finished rapping, and she just had to. I was like, I need to know how to act. Can you just teach me how to not act, or teach me how to act? I don't know. I was just an open book, and what a great way to learn a new craft Throw yourself in the deep end and sink or swim.
But also be open to learning in that way, not going in there overconfident or just saying, I'm going to just do it my way or whatever. Be going, I actually don't know what I'm doing, so please tell me what I'm doing. Like,
Yeah.
I think the best thing with acting to learn is to know when you're acting badly. I mean, that's half the battle, because you can be shown what the right thing is to do, but if you don't know when you're doing something not well, then that's
Wrong.
also equally
Yeah.
good to know when you do. So what was the
Yeah.
first?
No. That's why it's so important to watch. There's always certain scenes that I have to watch on when we shoot, because I know when I feel like I've done a good job, and I know when I feel like I've done a bad job. And I think it's really important to like consistently keep watching each scene so you can see that. You can see when you're excelling, or why you did well in that scene, or why it's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, we're our own harshest critics. So, what was day one on set for you like on Home and Away then?
um
Can you remember?
Gosh, I remember that whole kind of first 6 months. It was a bit of a blur. Um, it's interesting because I had a moment with a cop who ended up being my husband. That was my first day. And now that I think about Elly's first scene was with Mark Brennan, who was a cop who ended up being her. How funny. I never thought about it till just now. That's so
That's
weird, isn't it?
bizarre. That's bizarre. Or it makes Neighbours look really unoriginal, but I think there was a slightly different storyline.
Storylines, very different storylines. But yeah, I remember my character. She drove this like old beat up ute, and she wore cowboy boots, and like she was from the country, and she was so cool. I loved playing Martha. She was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and
But yeah, it was
you won the Logie for best new talent within that first year, didn't you?
it was it was really it's so funny. I found it in my wardrobe the other day. I was like, oh, that's right. She stays in my wardrobe. I'm like, I don't know where to put her. It's a she,
Yeah,
of course.
why not?
It's a she. Um, yeah, I remember that. I think it was my second low. It wasn't the first year. It was because I'd missed. If you miss the
Yeah.
cutoff by a certain point, you go next year's. And it was the second time I've been to the Logies, and what a crazy experience. It was, yeah, out of this world, actually. But it's great. I got to wear my favorite designer in the whole world at the time, Tony Matichevsky. And yeah, it's just such amazing
What was
memories,
that
you
feeling
know.
like when they called your name out?
I lost it. I just like getting up there and having to do a speech. And yeah, and a couple of my other girlfriends who we all started at the same time, we're all in the category together. So I just remember the speech was about,
Mm.
it's like this is ours. Like we've done this together. We've supported each other, and it's nice as well coming on a show and having your peers going through the same thing as you, because a couple of those girls hadn't acted either. So we were all just trying to, find our feet in this whole new world of acting and trying to keep up and trying to learn at the same time, which is, yeah, it's hard, but it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so 5 years on Home and Away, and then you decide to
Yes.
leave. And what was
Yes.
the world looking like for Jodi at that point in time? Where were you looking? Were you wanting to do like the LA thing? Where were your aspirations lying at that point?
Yeah, I don't know. With the LA thing, I always thought that if I audition from here and I get a job, then I'll go
Yeah,
over. But to set the process up, I went and did one pilot season, and yeah, it was interesting. There's lots of waiting around, and
mm.
I don't know. I love LA. I have so much fun when I'm there. I love, there's a really fun kind of, there's great energy there, but it's also amazing for work. So I loved that time there, but I also realized it's not for me to go and sit there and wait for the call or anything like that. So I did pilot season. It was a lot of fun. Came home, and then I ended up having Alia, and so somewhere in between, falling pregnant. I'd just been married at the time, did the pilot season. I was doing all my tapes back and forth to America and auditioning for things here. And I found that I would do like one or two jobs a year that were drama or an American series or something like that. But there was just little bits and pieces here and there, which was enough. Like I would have worked a lot more if I could have, but I think it's a hard industry. Like we are so lucky, and I know we're all incredibly grateful for the jobs that we have. So that, to have that time on Home and Away, and now to have the time on Neighbours as well. I feel I feel really lucky that I've had that much consistent work over the last kind of decade.
Yeah, and
I
you
had
did.
harder when you're not, you know.
Yeah, because Underbelly camp, which I didn't know you did camp because one of my really good friends was on camp.
Yeah.
Charlotte nicked out. I don't know if you crossed paths with her on the show. And then Hiding as well, which I think I've seen. And then
And it was, and I did The Cup and a movie called which was a fun comedy. So I did like bits and pieces. Hiding was hilarious. I got to play this Russian girl, and she was quite naughty, let's say.
excellent. Can you give us a bit of your Russian accent? Did you have a Russian accent?
She just said da a lot. Da, da.
That sells it. That's all you need. You say Russian accent, da. She's got it.
Great, amazing. Can you do it? Sure. Nah. No, and that's a great thing auditioning for lots of different parts is you're playing completely different characters all the time. So it's a completely different process to what we do, being in a long-term series. And I think that for us, it's kind of like creating more of a story and an arc for our characters to keep that character changing and, your character, interesting and relevant and complex and all those things. And it's very different when you're out there auditioning for completely different roles and trying to sink yourself into them quickly.
What part of...
Have you been auditioning much? Like, when's the last time you auditioned?
Every now and then I'll do something big that's US or whatever that is far enough in advance that I might be able to get the time off Neighbours to do. But I haven't done one for a while. I mean, the timing's not great at the moment.
It's such an interesting process, isn't it? It's just...
Yeah. Well, auditioning, I think, is just an absurd thing in a lot of ways because it's nothing like the reality of the situation that a character's in. It's nothing like the situation you're going to be on set, except that there's a camera there. But outside of that, if you're in the room for auditioning, it's just a weird thing to be doing to prove that you can do this other thing. But I don't know how else they would fix that. I think self-testing is actually really helpful in that way if you can get someone who can read well with you, and it doesn't freak you out to have to record yourself and all that kind of stuff. If you can get comfortable with that, I think because you can then settle into it, you can have more than just 2 takes or something and be nervous and just fumbling your way through something. You can actually work it with a friend and then figure it out. I think that's actually a much better way as far as auditioning goes.
Comfortable in your own environment as well, because I always get so nervous before an audition. And I mean, nerves and trying to remember lines and trying to
become another human.
Oh God, yeah, I know. It's quite a daunting process. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to auditioning again, I guess, if I do that. Yeah, yeah.
What is it about acting that you like? What's kept you doing it?
I often really love the characters that I play. So, for instance, with Elly, I remember when I read her character breakdown. For me, the challenge with her has always been giving her heart and soul and authenticity within making so many huge mistakes that are just like, how do you come back from that? And finding the heart and soul of the reason why she makes all these stupid decisions and gets herself in these terrible situations, that to me is kind of the complexity of of being Elly. And that's what interests me about acting. It's like doing one thing but trying to get people to feel a completely different thing. I like that challenge.
Well, you definitely did it very well because you're one of the characters. Ellie's one of the characters on Neighbours, and you as an actor are given the real soapy role, like storylines in a lot of way. Like they're huge, high drama with crazy situations of like kissing your husband's sister and like
sleeping with her the night before we got.
yeah, and then telling him after you get married. Like they're really hard things to do because that's not an average situation that a human goes through.
And it's just finding the truth in, I know that's cliche, but finding the truth and the vulnerability in this character and the choices she's making, even though it's like if you just focus on the action and what's going on in that moment, it doesn't seem as soapy as when I try and explain it to someone. I was like, oh, that sounds really bizarre, doesn't it? Oh, it felt very real at the time. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I love that they've thrown so many different storylines at me over the years.
I think what you just said really, it just went in tune with something that when I was in a production of Hamlet, and we did these school productions where the school kids would get to ask us questions, and one person asked the Hamlet, do you think Hamlet's mad? Which is a classic question for Hamlet. And he said, well, it's not my place to judge whether Hamlet's mad. All I do is I get the script and I get words and I say one word which connects to another word which connects to another word which forms a sentence. That sentence is a thought, and then I just perform each thought to thought to thought, and I make my way through those thoughts. And he was like, I think whether you judge that he's mad or not is up to you, but I'm just making Hamlet a reality for me from each thought to thought. And that's kind of what you just said, which
no, it's very much that way. You can't. It's hard sometimes because when you're given these crazy storylines, you go, oh my God. It's like, oh, am I going into judgment? I think I'm not going to judge. No, I'm not going to judge. We're going to just be what it is on the page and find the truth and the honesty. And to me, with Elly, because there's so many crazy things she does, is honestly finding the vulnerability in her and why she's making these choices. And then it becomes this really interesting, beautiful story at times. And there's a lot of like pain or happiness attached to those choices, you know? So it's, I guess it's like the depth of people. That's what I love about acting.
And people do weird stuff all the time.
They do. Yeah. I had people comment saying, I've been in the same boat. It's like, oh, okay, well, we're happy. I'm really happy we could play this storyline out for you then.
Were you expecting the Shelley response?
No, not at all. Not at all. That has been a huge surprise. And I don't know though, like when April and I started working through this storyline together, I felt that from the second we started doing it, we had like this really special connection with these characters. It probably helps that we're friends, like good friends off screen as well. But I don't know, there felt something really special and delicate around like these two women who essentially were I felt like they were falling in love, you know? And then the response was just insane. I'm really proud that we get to play out these storylines and we get to discuss these things. You know, one of my favorite scenes is when they were on a boat and they were in a like gondola or something on a date, and Chloe wanted an answer around like a label for Elly, and Elly's like, you know, I don't know what, like I don't have a label for myself. I just know that this is what I feel for you. And I love that. I love, you know, I just thought that was a really a beautiful expression of like love without labels, because it's, you know, we don't need to label everything. It kind of just, and I noticed on some of the comments, someone asked like what Elly's sexuality is. And it's like, well, it doesn't need to be anything. She just is who she is. And whether she's in love with Sean or Finn or Chloe, it's like an act of love.
Yeah.
You know, it's not more than that. It doesn't need that label. And I think that I really loved connecting with that storyline around that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a really nice way to put it, because the response has been crazy from that fan base. Has been like, compared with every other storyline that happens on Neighbours, there's such a vast community that really responded to it, which has to question what. Obviously, you guys were making two characters in a storyline that then felt really true to a whole lot of people, which is commendable for you two for doing that work, really. Yeah.
Storyline. It's like, yeah, I feel, I'm like, oh, that's going to be one of my all-time favorite storylines. It's a beautiful thing to get to have the opportunity to portray that storyline. And I think that the writers did it justice. It was, you know, it was done really well. And they let us have input with different scenes. And I think it was, yeah, treated really delicately, which I love.
Yeah.
It's like a proper love story.
It really was. But I know that we can't have you for too much longer, so I'm going to bust through some of the questions that we got through the Instagram, and I'll go through the chat as well, and we'll do try to do some quick fire answers. Did you know many of the Neighbours cast prior to joining?
Not really. I think I knew one or two people, like vaguely.
Just sort of met them at the Logies or something, yeah.
Yeah, like Rebecca and
It's hard not to know Rebecca if you've been in the same room as her.
I was like, hello.
And everyone should watch the takTalks with Beck, like 10 ago or something.
Oh, when?
How do you think you've grown between Home and Away and Neighbours? As a person, as an actor, you can answer that whichever way you want.
I would say as an actor, having the experience, because Home and Away was my first job, and it's soap. I think once you leave that, it's kind of starting again and trying to, like when you start doing drama and films and things like that, just having that experience of doing all those different types of jobs. It was learning how to act in a different way again. And then I found through doing Neighbours, again, it's kind of combining those two different styles of like film and television and soap, and finding my own way now, kind of navigating that.
Yeah. What are the differences between the two that you've felt? I mean, there's differences for you personally, but then the differences between the shows, do they kind of feel the same on set?
With Home and Away and Neighbours?
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah, very, very much so. The only difference is I think we did a lot more driving on Home and Away because we go to Palm Beach all the time, and I love that our locations are all on set. Like we're so lucky.
Yeah, it's why we're able to come back and shoot now. You know.
Yeah.
What else is here? Would you change anything about Elly?
I'd keep her with Chloe.
Ooh, heard it here first.
It's funny because obviously I've told people that I'm leaving the show, and I will be leaving in the next couple of weeks. And the question I get asked a lot is, so what, that's it? That's it for Chelly? I was like, haha, just because I'm leaving, it doesn't mean it's over yet. But if I'm still believe in it, and then April still believes in it, then I hope that other people do as well.
Yeah, it can be bigger than just the storyline between you two. You know, it can be symbolic as well. Live on forever. I think that's really nice.
I have grand plans of coming back and sweeping her off her feet.
I think April would like that too. What advice would you give someone who wanted to get into acting? This asked specifically about Neighbours and Home and Away, but I think just in general about acting or the entertainment industry even.
I would say kind of get some lessons and figure out how much you like it and what, what kind of roles you identify with and what kind of films and that you identify with. Um, and then speak to actor friends or people who are around their experiences. And I think I think maybe then like find an agent, or I don't know if that's too premature. I think it's more about just understanding what acting is before you go and get an agent, and understanding that, because I think a lot of people think it's something that it's not, or you know people do it because they want to be famous or something like that, and it's like no, it's a craft, and understand that, and understand why you love it and what areas you think you'd be good at, or you want to learn more about. I think that's what I'd tell
Yeah, I think
someone.
that's really good advice. I think a lot of people want the outcome before they want the work, and it takes work.
Yeah, takes a lot of work.
People have really loved your prison stuff as well. What was that like?
Oh, can I just say that was one of the most. I had this day where Madeline and I shot 16 scenes back to back, two-handers in the prison, and I watched a lot actually, and it's great. It just looks really gritty, and the lighting in that, it's very dark. It's very heavy. Um, yeah, it was quite emotional for me having to go into that place. It like felt like I was sitting in a dark place for a while, because obviously Ellie's crying a lot and I get a little bit method. That's how I know how to act. So it's like, you have to go there, as you know. Yeah, and like it was great to see the story unfold, see the dynamic between these two characters, and I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it. It's really intense stuff. It's great. It's good.
Do you think Alia will follow your steps and become a screen queen?
Screen queen. If she had it her way, she'd be a YouTube queen.
I'll have to get her on the
Videos.
show. She'll...
Hey guys, I'm Alia. Welcome today, and starts doing the whole spiel. Like she's quite, she does it. She jokes about it, but yeah, maybe one day I'd like to get her into. She's a great little singer. I'd like her just to take some singing lessons. She's a really great dancer. So no acting at this point.
You have to get Bonnie to have a sing along with her. They could
Totally.
sing in the first episode of her YouTube channel.
Oh my God, what a great idea.
Oh, I'm full of them, really.
Okay.
um, I feel like we've answered what your memorable moments really are on Neighbours with the Chelly stuff in a big way. Was there any other memorable stuff that you like treasure as moments that you got to do?
I think the wedding stuff with Ellie and Mark, and the
Oh,
downfall, all those scenes in the aftermath of that, that was like, yeah, really heavy stuff. Get these great heavy storylines, don't I, Tak?
just telling
It's
outside that
good.
reception. I remember us just watching and we couldn't really hear you. We could just see you and Scotty working. And we were like, what? What's
Oh,
going on?
I was blowing their
Sorry.
hair and crying. I was like, this is so dramatic. It's
Oh
amazing.
man, it was huge, but really, really good work too. To be pulling that kind of stuff off. Um, what does Alia think of you acting? Like, was there a long period where she didn't quite understand what was going on?
Yeah, at the start she kind of knew Mummy was on a show called Neighbours, but I made her sit down and watch some of the episodes once I knew what was going to be on them, because of Ellie doing some rather compromising things.
Mm.
I had to make sure it was okay for her to watch. I want to just like get her used to seeing me as another person and try and explain that to her. She doesn't quite get it, but she did once we kind of sat down and I went through it. And yeah, she, yeah, I like to think she's proud.
Oh, I'm sure she is. Definitely sure she is. I'm sure she's very happy to have you back in Sydney, especially last month and after the next
Yeah.
2 weeks too.
It has. Yeah, no, it has been. It's great. It's interesting. It's an interesting time for me actually, because I'm so used to doing what I've been doing back and forth, and I've got my process down pat. And now it's like, oh, okay, it's been nice having this time in isolation, because I've been able to take myself out of that process I've been in now for 4 years. And it's like come to this kind of more calm place where I can start to think about what I want to do next, and the different things I want to achieve, and different projects I'm working on, and all that kind of stuff. And obviously reestablish kind of a routine here at home with her, with me, with friends and family and stuff. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, I'm imagining there's a lot of things that you're discovering going, it's nice to have the time to be able to do those things and that kind of stuff. All right, I'll find two more questions. One I think is kind of interesting. Did you know Bonnie beforehand? Because you guys are so well cast as sisters.
Oh, I'd never met her before. And I remember the first day we met, we sat in the green room and we had this full on D&M for hours. And I felt like I'd met my real life sister. And even our mannerisms and that were very, very similar. It's really,
You
it's
both
quite
have
crazy.
this sort of like, not husky, but like there's a thing to your voice, which has that like
Boy thing.
but even how you laugh too, like it's bizarre.
I know, we're both really loud, and our laughs are super loud. We're like, oh, I always know where Bonnie is. She's like, Jade's, I always know where you are too.
And then last question. Well, that's the pressure, because people started like pounding this with questions as soon as we started doing questions. There's so much. I'll answer quickly one that was just, what's the best agent for Neighbours? There is no best agent. It's just do the work, find an agent because you've done the work, and then hopefully the role that is right for you comes along. You can't force your way into it. The role needs to be there for you to do it. Not every actor can play every role. It doesn't work that way, because we aren't every person. We're the people we can play. So yeah, just do the work and hopefully it comes.
Yes. Agree.
Actually, I know what. I'm gonna have the last question.
Oh, you're gonna have the last.
I'm gonna have the last question.
What do you ask me? Tell me.
What now? What's in the future for Jodi? Where do you envision yourself going?
I don't know. I've been trying to kind of have this time to reconnect with myself and figure out what the next step is. And the same thing, like I've been working on this personal project for years and years, but it's a design project I'm really passionate about. And I think now that I've had the time to stop, I can really look at that, and that will be my next step. There's so much fear around starting your own business, or you having your own designs put out there and things like that. So I think a long time to pluck up the confidence in myself and my creative abilities to be able to really want to take that step. And it's been nice having this time in isolation, because I've been able to look at that and see how I can make it better, or what my next steps will be once we come out of this time, and put a little bit more time and effort and creativity into that. And
see what happens.
yeah, I think that's the main thing. And I think it's just like taking time for me and getting really healthy and fit. And I know it sounds like cliche or whatever, but it's actually, I think once you come off the back of doing something that's so enormous for such a long period of time, for me, it's important that I have some me time and get back to basics and feel good again.
Yeah, well, I've seen
feel realized, and
Yeah, well, I've seen some of your designs when you back when you, I guess, we're sort of like first trying to foster the idea or whatever, and I'm super excited for you to get those out there in a bigger way. And
yeah, it'll be exciting. It's so daunting though, but I'm like, you can do this, Jodi.
Oh, I know you can do this, Jodi. And thank you for coming on. And everyone should follow Jodi if you aren't already on Instagram, because you'll be able to see where this design stuff goes and any other projects that Jodi starts to work on.
Yeah, and hopefully there'll be some more acting thrown in the mix. Who knows what will happen? People keep saying I'm going back to Home and Away. I'm like, no, I'm not going back to Home and Away. I mean, you never know what will happen, but no, that's not
Yeah.
happening.
Not yet. Not yet, at least.
Not today.
Well, someone
Yeah.
I saw someone say that, oh, you and Chloe will run off to Home and Away, and then Ellie and
Oh
Chloe
my
will be on
God.
together on Home and Away, and that's like where Chelly will get their ending.
Yeah.
Imagine if that
Hilarious.
happened. Wow.
I don't know. That wouldn't.
Like, why not? Or even, you can go to one of the UK ones, be like Coronation Street or something. Shelley can just,
Right? Oh my God, can you imagine?
that'd be
That'd be
fun.
so much fun.
Or,
Going to a pantomime together.
yeah, I think people would love that now that you've put out. That's what's going to happen. At the end of this year, you're going to be doing pantomime. You and April. Oh, I would,
The Chelly.
yeah. It's all about Shelley. The whole thing's just a pantomime. Someone out there now is going to write the pantomime of Shelley, and you guys are going to be in it. So, good on you.
Then let's do it. Even though I can't sing.
Doesn't matter. It's Shelley.
Fine. Chelly.
All right. Thank you, Jodi.
Thank you so much. To see you and chat to you. Mwah.
See you.
I will see you next.
Bye.
Bye.
And that's it. This one's a little bit shorter one because Jodi's a mum and she's got to cook dinner and stuff. So that you need to respect that as much as I do because she's a legend. And I thank her so much for coming on the show. And I thank you guys for joining me. Now, this is a weird one because I've been for the last 4 weeks doing these basically Monday to Friday, and there've been a huge amount of work that I didn't kind of anticipate. And I started shooting today. I came straight from set to here, literally running to make this so we could start on time. And I still don't even have I don't think I have. I can check my phone right now. I don't think I have my schedule for next week yet, so I have to kind of see how I go. But I'm really hoping to continue these as best I can for you all. And maybe there'll be one next week, but make sure you follow my Instagram because that's where I'll announce things. I don't know whether you can announce things on YouTube because I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm kind of making it up as I go. But I hope you guys have enjoyed all the things I've been making up because I've really enjoyed bringing it to you. And yeah, stay connected. I hope you guys are all staying safe, staying healthy, taking care of one another. And yeah, I usually get to announce the next guest at this point, and I don't really get to do that this time, which is kind of weird. But I will. I don't see this as an end at this point. So please subscribe if you haven't. Please tell your friends if they would be interested in this. There may be actors who want to find out about acting. There may be people who are interested in Home and Away or Neighbours, or just interested in people in general, because I hope these talks offer all of those people something, because I'm definitely interested in all these kind of things. So yeah, please share it with whoever, any of them, all of them, and I would really appreciate that from you. So once again, thank you very much for joining me. I'm Takaya Honda, this is takTalks, and I will see you all next time.